Hello, this is Brad from Johnson Small Engines, working on a pull-in lawn tractor. Came in the other day with a no start condition, and he said it was popping and missing out the carburetor. Alright, so popping and missing out the carburetor means, to me, it means that one, you do have ignition because it's popping and missing, and it's missing, it's firing on the wrong, it's like not timed right. Okay, so first thing you do is one, you check spark, and of course we had spark. Second thing you most likely do is you check carburation, the shut-off solenoid, and by that you can just turn the key on into the on position and turn it off, and then turn it back in the on position, and you should hear it click. I'm not sure if I can do this on the video, you'll hear this or not. Let's see what we got here. Nah, it's gonna be too hard with the key. If you heard that slight clicking back and forth, that was the fuel shut-off solenoid working properly. So that's not the problem. Customer put a new fuel filter on already. That didn't fix this problem. I'm gonna try to crank this so you could hear it. You may be able to listen to it. You may be able to hear this backfire pop. It's really loud at the back end of that. It's right at the end. So if you did hear that, great. If you have a bad backfire missing scenario, that may have been it. I don't know if you could hear that or not. First thing I do after that is you want to get it up the top dead center. It sounds like a valve issue. So I'm going to pull the spark plug out, and I use this nice tool. It's a fender clip tool that takes fenders off of cars. And being that I was born with one hand, I use it a lot in this business. And you always need three hands in this business, and this fender clip tool has really worked great. But you put it behind the booty. Okay, the scenario why I'm using this right here is this spark plug boot, they tend to stick on the spark plug, and when you pull them off by the end of this boot here, a lot of times the metal part from the ignition coil itself, the metal part that attaches to the spark plug, will stick on it and get pulled away from the coil wire itself. If that happens, you got to pull off the spark plug, re-clamp it to the coil wire, and hope you have a good connection. To avoid that, just use this fender tool, put it behind the spark plug boot that's on the spark plug, and then just pop it off. Alright, just like that. Popped off, get it out of your way. Gotta take a spark plug out. I'm using a 5/8 spark plug socket with a 3/8 couple inch extension on there, and I'm gonna take it out. Okay, once your spark plug is out, you take the valve cover off. Just be careful you don't drop your spark plug, you can damage it. Alright, I'm going to cheat. This is a 3/8 electric. I have a 3/8 socket on electric gun that helps me put on and off nuts and bolts. Here comes my local train. I hope it doesn't mess you up here. Be careful you don't drop these guys, you won't get them back. There's 4 of them on the valve cover. Pretty self-explanatory. I just don't want to lose them. Now, you're going to have a lot of oil that's going to drip out from here, and it's going to want to go on your muffler. So I use a rag. Also, if you can get the front end of the tractor up in the air, that sometimes helps, but we're on the floor right here, taking the last bolt out of the valve cover. And this valve cover was put on with a sealant. A lot of the new style engines now, they used just a sealant. And the sealant you can get at any hardware store. It's just a silicone sealant. They tell you to use the recommended Briggs brand, but you can use just a heavy duty silicone sealant for this. I'm sure, what I do is I use a gasket. I go back to the old style gasket and I just put a gasket on. Now, this silicone right here, you're going to have to get this all off of the valve cover. The valve cover is a little hard to get off. I did this previous to this video just so it'd be easier for me to do, to show you guys. Now remember, it's in here because it pops and misses and it will not start. Alright, now this spark plug wire is going to be my issue in a way here. But now I have to get this thing up the top dead center. I'm going to try to do the best I can while I have the video rolling here. It feels like it might be on top dead center. What I use is a very thin screwdriver, and I'm real careful. And I basically get up here, put my hand on top of the flywheel, and just watch the spark plug hole with the screwdriver. And once I get up top to the center, and you'll see the valves moving back and forth here, and you just want to get them to where you have it on top dead. This is something that you may or may not want to tackle yourself. But now, since we're close to top dead center here, I can show you what I found. But what happened was, this is your exhaust muffler right here, exhaust valve. This is your rocker arm, and the rocker arms are only supposed to have 4 to 6 thousandths play, depending on what side the intake or exhaust. And as you can see, lots more. This is basically just falls off. Okay, that's not good. In fact, the push rods tend to get bent if they try to crank them too long. This push rod here is an exhaust push rod. It's steel, and this one is perfectly fine. You got real lucky. You just have to make sure when you put them back in the head here that there's a little divot down inside there that little ball will go on to. Same up here. But what happened, the reason why this is popping and missing, is that the stud right here has backed out of the head, and the stud just moved out. It feels tight, but it actually vibrated out, backed out, and that gave me way too much clearance between the valves, so the valve was not going back and forth correctly, and that's why the popping missing. So basically what we got to do is we got to pull this stud out, clean it up really good, get all the grease away from everything, try to get the grease out of that hole too if there's any grease inside the threads here. We're going to put a very extreme Loctite on it, put it back in, make sure, I'm going to take this I'm going to take the valve rocker arm off and make sure it's not messed up, and we'll reuse it if we can. If not, we'll get a new one. Just have to make sure that the valves are okay, and you don't have to take the head off, you just have to make sure visually everything looks good. A lot of times these have keepers too. There's little metal keepers that sit on top here, and sometimes if you lose it, now depending on the model of the engine, sometimes they have them, sometimes they didn't. But if it got off, you have to find it. Alright, so if you didn't find it, and just go up to, you're going to have to go to parts breakdown and see if they had it or not. I'll have to look at that too. But this is why the popping and missing occurred. The stud backed out, the rocker arm stud backed out, and that's why we have a popping and missing. So I hope I helped you out here. If you can figure it out, if you need to take it somewhere, do so, but that's why this machine doesn't start. Thanks for watching.